This is Kugan Cassius for Apple TV in association with Macklin Gym Marbella. We're at the O2 Arena here for Risky Business. With me, I have renowned trainer Adam Booth. How are you, Adam?
What makes someone renowned?
Because you're quite well known.
All right, okay.
So, renowned.
My mum will be happy with that.
You are well known.
This is my boxing consultant, Manus Barber.
Hello.
It's not a joke. He is my boxing. You don't realise.
He might not want to be on the camera.
Right.
Please, he can park himself there. That's fine.
That's why. He's like the English Al Heyman.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you were the English Al Heyman.
I'm on camera, aren't I?
April the 11th. Oh, it's enough information for you. Pick the bones from that. What happened then?
I have no idea what your line of question is.
Right. Saunders Lee was on.
Right.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, Quillin Lee happens.
Yeah. Lee Quillin. Mention the champion's name first, please.
Lee Quillin. I beg your pardon. Sorry, you're 100% right. What happened in that time period?
Have you not spoken to Frank?
Yeah, I have, but I want it from you.
Talk to Frank, not just for the drug problem, but talk to Frank because you can find out some information.
I'm asking you. I've already spoke to Frank about it.
I spoke to Frank. Frank spoke to Billy. I spoke to Andy. Made sense. If made sense for Andy to fight Quillin, and it must have made sense for Billy Joe in their eyes to wait for a huge potential summer football stadium fight with Andy.
But you said it right there. It's a potential fight because obviously Quillin is a huge risk for Billy Joe to allow that if that's going to happen, correct or not?
We'll see.
But there was talk of Andy making a defence in Ireland.
Yeah. But the only reason why that is that like these two-bit journalists, boxing journalists that turn up with cameras at a moment's notice and start asking vague questions about what's happening to people in boxing, we just say things and you put it out. But that doesn't mean it means anything. That's why all these things float about, because people keep coming up and asking questions.
Why don't you just not answer the question then? Why do you have to make up bollocks?
Well, I've tried not answering your questions before, and
you haven't spoke to me about it. This is something that was put out there. That Andy,
hang on.
Hold on, Andy Lee will make a defence of his world title. Billy Joe will fight on the undercard in Limerick. Correct or not? Was that never ever discussed? Really?
Okay, I gave you an answer, and now you're questioning my answer. See what I mean? Don't take the higher ground like you do.
So I just made that up. Where have I got that from then?
You make stuff up all the time.
No, but so I've made that up, yeah? I so haven't made that up. But April 11th should be interesting.
Good, yeah.
You confident that you'll still have a world champion at the end of it?
Never go into a fight not being confident. Very, very confident. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm enjoying this time. I'm enjoying working with Andy and the guys, and April 11th is going to be a wicked fight. It's going to be a good fight.
I'm not saying Korobov and Johnny Jackson, Andy Lee. I'm not saying he shocked people by his performances, but the Korobov won a little bit. But if he does beat Peter Quillin, an undefeated fighter, and someone who's rated very highly, then it's going to speak volumes of Mr. Lee.
As far as I'm concerned, I know what I need to know about Andy, and Andy needs to know what he needs to know about Andy. And he's at that stage of career now. He's a world champion, and he wants to fight in big fights against good fighters to prove himself. He's ready for this. He's ready for this time. He really is. Even
though Andy Lee's champion, would you consider it, or people would consider it an upset if he was to beat Peter Quillin?
I would.
Not at all. Okay, fair enough. Have you got any interest in Mayweather Pacquiao, Adam?
Well, I'm a boxing fan, so I'm sure I'll get drawn into the hype as it gets closer to the fight. But it's an older version of the fight that it would have been before, and I see Mayweather comfortably outboxing him.
4 or 5 years too late.
What's their combined age when they get in the ring? Is it like 74 or something like that?
Something like that.
4 or 5 years? So the combined age of 70 would have been more acceptable. I think everyone agrees that if it had happened back when Pacquiao had a couple of his stunning wins,
when he beat Hatton,
stopped De La Hoya, he knocked out Ricky Hatton. then it would have been. I think it would have been. That was the peak for that fight. I think we're getting it. Everyone accepts that we're getting it well past its peak. But I see the result being the same. Probably just a slightly less intense affair of what it would have been 6 or 7 years ago.
Is there any plans? Sorry, are we in the way of some people?
Sorry, go on.
Oh. Sorry.
Are there any plans?
I was going to say, there was always talk of Andy Lee fighting Golovkin. That fight was nearly did actually happen, didn't it? Saw Golovkin, Martin Murray, very brave and valiant performance. Wasn't good enough, obviously, but is that a fight that will still interest your fighter, Andy Lee?
Andy's WBO world middleweight champion. So if he's not in the frame of mind now where he wants to fight any middleweight in the world, then he's in that position where he shouldn't be. He wants to fight anyone, and will make the fights that are right at the right time. That's the sport and that's the business. And if the fights are considered to be risky fights and dangerous fights and competitive fights, then it's a win for the fans, isn't it? And they're the type of fights now you can expect to see Andy Lee in.
I.e. Peter Quillen. It's a good voluntary. Impressed. All right. Well, that's it, really. Anything else to say? No. I'm going to tease the people here. Oh. So I'm coming out to Monaco when Monaco play Arsenal, and I'm going to stay with you.
Why would you do that? And I don't want you in my gaff crying all night, crying yourself to sleep.
We're going to lose, I know, but
score.
Can I come and stay with you?
Top and tail.
No, you got it.
Turn your weird camera off now because it's just not.
Can I come and stay with you? Yes or no?
No. You stay with Richard Towers. He's been asking if you can spend the night with him. You'll be a changed man.
Adam Booth, thank you very much from IFL TV. Have a wonderful evening.